was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks in a 3-team trade with the Phoenix Suns and the Portland Trail Blazers. Here's the full trade on the screen. As you can see, the Blazers received Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, some guy that no one really cares about. I'm sorry, I don't know what the hell that is. Our first round draft pick, 2 pick swaps, while the Suns received Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. Now, this is a very crazy trade, and it's funny because in a video 3 years ago, you can go check it out, it's still uploaded on my channel, I said that Giannis, this was when Giannis' contract was had ended a couple years ago, and I said that he should join Damian Lillard in Portland, and it's funny because now Damian Lillard is joining him in Milwaukee, so I thought that was kind of funny because I did say they should team up 3 years ago, and I think it's going to be beneficial for both players, honestly. But yeah, make sure you check the description where I tell you what topics and like what subjects we're going to be discussing in the video. Alright, so first things first, let's talk about how this trade affects Milwaukee, and then we'll talk about how far do I think Milwaukee will go. We'll talk about why I'm happy that he went to Milwaukee and not Miami as a Celtics fan, and then we'll talk about a couple of other things. Alright, so I do think this will help Milwaukee, especially in the regular season and in the playoffs. I think this trade makes Milwaukee the favorites to be the #1 seed during the regular season. I think that they'll have a better record than teams like the Celtics, who was considered the favorites before this trade happened. I think that they'll have a better record than Miami, because Miami was an 8th seed. Even though they won against Milwaukee in the first round, they were still an average regular season team. Cleveland is going to be up there in the mix, but I think this team will have a better record than Cleveland and like New York Knicks. So what does Damian Lillard bring to this team? He, for one, gives them an actual closer, someone who can create their own shot on the perimeter, off the dribble. We know what his range is. He's the 2nd greatest shooter of this generation, right after Stephen Curry, and then after Dame, I'll probably put like Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant afterwards. But yeah, we know what he brings: clutchness, a level of calmness and poise in big situations. We know his playoff resume is pretty solid. He has that game-winning shot against the Houston Rockets from like 2012 or 2011, and then we saw him make a game-winning shot against OKC when they had Paul George playing at an MVP level. Russell Westbrook was in his prime, and they had Carmelo as a 3rd option. So we've seen him do pretty good things in the postseason with Portland. Alright, so let's just answer this question right now. How far do I think Milwaukee will advance in the playoffs? Now, I don't have a definite answer because we don't know what this team is going to look like. They haven't played yet. But realistically, I could see them getting eliminated in the 2nd round to advancing to the NBA Finals and winning it. I feel like that's realistic expectations. Now, as a Celtics fan, I do not fear Damian Lillard teaming up with Milwaukee more than I would have feared Damian Lillard teaming up with Jimmy Butler. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Giannis is a better player than Jimmy Butler. Okay, he is. He's Defensive Player of the Year, regular season MVP. He's already a champion. Yes, and more. Yes, okay. However, time comes postseason. Giannis still has more weaknesses than Jimmy Butler in terms of how you guard them. If Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler had teamed up, you would have 2 consistent closers who can create their own shot on the perimeter against anyone. It doesn't matter who would be guarding them. They would have an advantage against that opponent, and you wouldn't be able to force Jimmy Butler to shoot. You can't sag off Jimmy Butler like you can sag off Giannis. You can't build a wall around Jimmy Butler like you can around Giannis. With Giannis, you can still force him to take perimeter shots. You can still build a wall. Now, it is going to be more challenging to build that wall effectively now that Damian Lillard is on the team. But when Milwaukee runs into teams like, for example, Miami, Boston, or Cleveland, just teams that have elite athletic defenders at the wing position who can switch on the perimeter, that's going to neutralize a lot of the pick and roll between Giannis and Dame, because that's going to be their favorite ball action. So I would say the fact that Giannis still doesn't have a perimeter game, it hurts them more because you can just still force Giannis to shoot. Now it's going to be harder as expected. Like I said, they can still win the finals. I'm just saying, I fear Jimmy Butler more as a Celtics fan than I fear Giannis, just because of how clutch, how poised he is. He can create his own shot. He can make threes in the playoffs. He just goes to a different level. But yeah, the Milwaukee can beat Boston. I'm not sitting here than he did when he was fully healthy. That's what my gut feeling says. But yeah, so many different things can happen. We don't know how it's gonna work out. We don't know if any more trades are gonna happen. I still want the Celtics to try and get Mike Conley if that's possible. I feel like the Celtics still need a floor general. I know we have Derek White at the point, and he's a pretty good point guard. He's a very good hustle player, can knock down perimeter shots, a good perimeter defender. He's like 6'4", 6'5", can jump. But I feel like we need somebody who can space the floor a little bit more. But yeah, going back to Giannis and Milwaukee, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a situation where Milwaukee dominates the regular season. Like they may be a 60-win team in a regular season, because they're gonna have two players in the regular season who probably average 30 points. Like they've both individually, Giannis and Dame, have averaged 30 points respectfully on their own team. I think some people are concerned rather about Damian Lillard being the number 2 option, because he's never been a number 2 option before, and I'm not really too worried about that because he can play off the ball and he's such a good shooter that it doesn't even matter. Damian Lillard is one of those type of guys who can fit in with anybody because he doesn't need the ball. I know he preferred to have the ball in his hands, but you can just tell based off his play style, he doesn't need the ball. Players like Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, those type of players need the ball in their hand. Damian Lillard can just stand in the corner if need be, or he can move around and cut. He could shoot from 30 feet still. So I just think Damian Lillard will be fine in that second role, and he's the closer still. That the Milwaukee Bucks needed a closer. They needed somebody who could put the ball on the floor on the perimeter and make tough baskets contested. And I feel like Damian Lillard is the perfect point guard to do that for you, especially down the stretch against teams in the East who have a lot of good guards. You got Boston, who has Derek White and Jaylen Brown. You got Cleveland with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. You got Indiana with Tyrese Halliburton. So it is a good thing that the Bucks stacked up at the point guard position, because they needed it. They needed an elite point guard. Jrue Holiday was good, but we saw that Jrue Holiday couldn't do anything with Jimmy Butler, and he's inconsistent offensively. So if Jrue Holiday can't guard the best players in the East, then you might as well get somebody who's a way better offensive player. So it makes sense. Now let's talk a little bit